7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise. Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Today we're going to be talking about events, trade shows, expos, and the value that they have in marketing your business. I'm Justin with Justin Kerr Design.
And I'm Bill with w.parmentier with w.parmentier Photography.
And I'm Alicia Piazza with Custom Marketing Solutions.
And together we make up
The
Marketing Essentials team.
And we have a special guest today. Justin, I think you're going to read the bio real quick.
Yes. So today we have Susan Lataille with us, and she is the creator and owner of DiscoverYou Events, which she founded in 2010. And she coordinates and organizes the Ocean State Business Expo, which is coming up on October 18th. So that is coming up pretty quick. Yes. Susan is also, and I have to read this because I love this part of her bio, is also a certified integrative nutrition health coach, a naturopath, full wave breath facilitator. I'm gonna murder this pronunciation, so you got to help me with it. Akashic hands healer. Akashic? Okay, I was close.
Cool.
Certified Akashic Records consultant and a Reiki master. So I got to ask, how did you get into all this?
It's just been a passion of mine since maybe 2002, when before that, I started getting really interested in natural health. And one of the reasons I did, because my son had ADD and they wanted to put him on medication, and it was just heartbreaking seeing this child transform into something he wasn't. So I kept learning more and more and just kept going because I loved it.
Nice.
Wow.
That's great. And so that turned into the Wellness Expo.
Correct. In 2009 was the first one.
Okay. And then how did you roll that into the Ocean State Business Expo?
Jay White, who is the creator of that event, in the third year, he needed a partner to help him produce it.
Okay.
And that was me.
And so you've been doing the Wellness Expo since 2009?
2009.
Okay.
Amazing. Awesome.
And so how did you, what are the origins of that? Did you just wake up one morning and say, I need to do a Wellness Expo?
Well, I'm a big believer in messages. I was working with my brother from WRIK Entertainment at the time, and he knew someone who said to him one day, hey, I'd like to do a wellness expo. And he said, well, you really need to talk to my sister, because he knew, that I was very interested in that holistic wellness arena. So we met. We actually came up with the name DiscoverYou. And about a month later, we found out that she decided not to move forward. We decided we were going to move forward, and my brother helped me produce the first one.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So I felt like it was a message that nudging me to go into that direction, knowing nothing about events and producing trade shows, only from an exhibitor or vendor standpoint. That's all I knew. That's all both of us knew. We learned a lot, and we pulled it off. And I kept going. I ended up taking that one show and creating my business with it.
That's awesome.
That's terrific. It's actually a similar story to this podcast. We got together, we did a webinar. We did that twice actually as a live event.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we said, well, there's a lot of things that we could talk about in regards to marketing. So let's do a podcast. Did any of us have podcast experience? Nope. Did that stop us? Nope. So, and we've learned a ton just doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think when passion fuels the fire, it gets you a lot farther than just doing something for the bottom line dollar there.
Correct. I agree. I agree. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to do what I love and that what I'm passionate about. and I don't want to have to answer to anybody else.
Also
Well,
a
there's
benefit
that
and
too,
perk.
yes.
Yes.
That's the underlying of all of it.
What's the old saying? A business owner is the only one that'll work 80 hours a week for themselves, not to have to work 40 hours for somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's pretty much
true.
it.
But if you're doing what you love, it really doesn't feel like work.
No,
Right.
true.
Right.
Exactly.
So, so you did the first one in '09, and what would you say is your biggest takeaway from that first one? Like, what biggest lesson that you learned? Like, oh, okay, I need to know this.
That everything can be negotiated.
Oh, okay.
All right.
There sounds like there's a story behind that.
Oh, there
one.
is.
We love stories.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't
Okay, we're not going to
say it,
We're not
though.
going to ask you.
Still a good takeaway,
Can I ask
though.
you
I
to throw
think it's a good
anybody under the
takeaway. Yeah.
But so I would imagine the corollary to that is you have to learn how to be flexible with these kind of things.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, being flexible, because you never know. And, day of shows, you have to be on your toes and you have to be able to respond instantly.
Sure.
Okay.
So usually I can come up with an answer for just about everything or a solution.
Well, that's good. That's good. Thinking on your feet.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the reason that we asked you on today was talk about, these kind of events and how they can be effectively used to market a small or mid-sized business. So, what would be some of the key points that you would say to a small business owner about using an event to market themselves?
Well, one of the first ways is that it's an inexpensive way to market yourself. It, compared to other traditional types of marketing, it's inexpensive and you get to put yourself out there in front of people, showing your best face. So you get to interact. You get to meet people face to face. And even in this digital age, that is still so important and crucial to making a sale.
Right.
Because if I meet you, I know instantly whether I like you or not,
True.
or whether I would even do business with you. Because nobody wants to do business with somebody they don't know, trust, and like.
Sure.
So if you make a connection with that person, then all right, well, maybe yes, I need their services now. Maybe I might need them in the future. Or maybe I might know someone who needs your services or products.
Right.
So you make that connection. To me, a lot of it is about relationships. It's about creating relationships. It's not just like walking into, a dollar store and going, hey, I need a card.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's different. It's a much deeper level.
Well, we've had several people on the podcast, specifically your friend Bob Salvis,
Yes.
and almost everyone we've talked to have made that same point, that it really is relationship building.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the cornerstones to marketing. It's not, like you said, it's not just transactional.
Right.
So in same with events, that it's relationship building. And you said, the exposure is tremendous as well. So typically, like the last year's Ocean State Business Expo, do you keep track of how many people have come through?
I do.
So
I do.
what was the attendance for last year?
Last year, I believe it was about 700.
Nice.
Nice.
So 700 business professionals that are walking through the door, because that's the key, is you have to have a business card to enter.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So obviously, you're targeting business owners themselves.
Yes.
So not all trade shows or all events are made the same. So how does somebody
Correct.
go about choosing the right one for them?
Choosing is knowing your demographic and finding out what shows are out there that are going to have the same demographic or close to it
Sure.
that you have. And it depends on whether it's a business to business, like the Ocean State is B2B.
Mm-hmm.
So it's business professionals looking for other business professionals. Or if it's just, a general public show where you have to find the interest of the people who are coming, or a certain, age group, certain income group, certain, like there's you can find a show for just about everything out there.
Right.
Things that
Well,
you've never even heard of.
Probably don't want to hear of again, right?
And you might not want to hear her.
Right. Well, one of the ones that one of my daughters went to a couple of times was Comic-Con.
Yes.
When it came to Rhode Island. And, we took her down there and we dropped her off, and I guess the venue hadn't opened yet, so everybody was standing outside. I have never seen a bigger collection of...
Freaks?
That's Bill.
You said it. I didn't. I was going to say interesting looking people, but
Unique
Unique.
people.
unique
Yeah.
individuals
I'm the guy that always says the wrong thing.
in one place. But
Politically
yeah, you're right. I mean,
correct.
that's an interest that, it's a niche.
Yes.
But I was surprised at how many people go to that kind of event, either to just be seen, to show off whatever they've made, their costume or
Right.
whatever, or meet some of the celebrities that are attending, or just meet other people who have similar interests. So there's all different
Right.
levels there.
Right. And that too with trade shows, that it could be a supporting industry. For example, a boat show. People who are on boats all the time, well, they still might need, I don't know, an acupuncturist, or they still might need a massage therapist, or something that's outside the realm, although it's still a personal service that they might need while either they're in, docking or.
That's an interesting point, because I had a solar company that said they had really great success at boat shows because they didn't have as much competition there.
Yes.
But the demographic was the typically homeowner, people who had some extra income to spend, and so
Right.
solar can be an investment. So they had good luck because they did their homework and they saw that the audience attending the show was right up their alley.
So
Right.
you
So it was the
basically-
same demographic.
You got to
Yeah.
think outside the box sometimes for those things. Like I have a good friend who's an architectural photographer. He goes to the real estate events that go on, the
Right.
big trade shows.
Mhm.
You wouldn't think of that initially, but hey, that's a great place for him to go and
Absolutely.
meet up with people that are going to need that type of stuff. So
Right.
it's not always exactly what you would think it would be.
So if I'm a business owner and I'm looking at becoming a vendor at an event, what type of questions should I be asking? I guess the organizer. What information should I be looking for?
First, how many years has the show been
Ooh, good one. Yeah.
being produced? How many times a year? What the location is if they don't know already. And location is key.
Yep.
If it's off the beaten path, a lot of times attendees don't want to go.
Yeah.
They don't want to head out that way.
And being in Rhode Island, there's very, very slim pickings when it comes to decent venues.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and if the demographics aren't, readily available, you can ask them what their demographics are. You can ask them how many attendees they had the previous year. You can ask them how many exhibitors are going to be there. You can ask them how they're doing their marketing to reach their new target goal for that year.
Those are all good questions.
Because you want to know. I
Yeah.
mean, you want to qualify the show to make sure that it's going to be worth your time if you're going to invest in it.
Right. Yeah.
Now, as part of your end of building these shows and putting these shows together, are there points where you will come up against somebody and say, well, yeah, probably not quite the fit I would say.
Absolutely.
So you do turn away people at points?
I have, yes. My wellness expo is strictly wellness type people. Has to be mind, body, spirit categories. I have turned away. Home improvement companies like to participate in all these different shows
Sure,
for the
sure.
same reason that you
Yeah.
just said, is that their competition isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Like even at the business expo, I'll have window companies and bathroom companies because their competition, well, except for a very few, are there. So they tend to do well, and it's usually short money compared to the home show as well.
Right, big money, yeah.
Convention center is always big money, or I don't even know where else they have them now, if they still have them at Twin River or. But
So that's a good question for somebody coming to you and saying, hey, do you turn people away? Are you getting the right people at the show?
right.
Showing their wares, so to speak.
Right. I mean, if somebody calls me and I don't think they're a good fit for the show, I'll tell them.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So let's say you have someone who decides the Ocean State Business Expo, that's the place that would be good for them to market their business. Now, what are some of the more practical points that you would give them? I mean, they buy a spot, they get a table or a booth. What are some of the other things that they would need to know to make that a successful event for them?
Oh, I have a whole list of those. I actually have a document with 13 successful tips for
Nice.
trade
Oh,
shows.
terrific.
Perfect.
First, I would say, know why you're there. Goals. What are your goals for being there? If you don't make goals, how do you know if you've been successful or not? Also, make sure that you have a way of tracking contact, information so you can follow up with people. Follow up after the show is probably the most crucial that you do, and so many people don't do it.
And how soon after the show do you suggest that they follow up?
Oh, right away.
Right away.
Within a day.
Wow. Okay.
While it's still
It's still fresh in their mind. They meet a lot of people. They may have forgotten your conversation. They may have a bag with all kinds of information in it that they never open again.
I have one of those bags at home.
Exactly. I've had
I think
those
we all
bags
do.
as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I know. It's really about planning while you're there.
Okay.
Making sure that you have an attractive table. I think the most successful tables are the ones that are interactive. Find something, a way to get people over to your table without having to sell them. If
Good
you can
point.
give them a little piece of what you do, and it's just to experience it, it's going to go much further than if you're just handing them information.
Right. I was at the expo a couple of years ago, and one of the tables there was an insurance company, and they had this wheel.
The wheel. Yeah, I
Right.
remember that.
And
yeah.
so you spin
Absolutely.
the wheel, and you win a little piece of swag, a
Yeah.
coffee cup or a T-shirt. And I mean, they could have easily just given that away. But
Right.
like you said, it makes it interactive,
Right.
and it gives you a chance to, engage, with people.
Right. And I think that's the big difference of where I started doing trade shows in '09 to now, is that people's attention spans are so short and their time is so divided, and distractions are, everywhere, that you have to find a way to even get them to the show because there's so much competition out there for their time. So one of the things that I realized late last year was that it needs to be different. So with my Wellness Expo this past March, I asked all my exhibitors to be interactive. I wanted it to be interactive and fun. I wanted it to be a destination, not just another show.
Okay. So what were some of the things that were implemented that actually improved the interactivity?
I had a yoga instructor there that was doing simple little poses to help show people that they could do yoga. I had somebody doing henna tattoos that
Cool.
was free to the attendees, as many attendees as could get one.
Wow.
I didn't get one. I
That's
never
the
made
problem
it
with
up
being
there.
the organizer is you miss out on all that stuff.
Exactly. I had a woman who was doing little flower headbands, which was really
Cool.
cute. We had some singing bowls there, and there was just a whole list of things. There was massages going on. There was Massage Envy does this stretch thing now that was going on. There was a lot. I couldn't tell you what every single table was doing. There was
Right.
readings and
Yeah.
mini consultations, and because I really didn't get to experience any of it.
Those are all good things, though. Those are all good,
Yeah, those are
good
great.
ideas. Now, I have a moral quandary. So I've been to lots of different trade shows and expos. And is it acceptable if a booth has, some candy or some snacky things out? Is it acceptable to take one without interacting with the people at the booth? Or is that frowned upon?
I do it at every show.
Okay, good. I don't feel so bad.
I always give myself a break. Any day of my show, I can eat as much candy as I want.
All right. Because I've been to some where it's like, oh, they've got Godiva, but I really don't want to talk to this particular vendor. So you just kind of skirt around the periphery and like see if you can sneak one while they're talking to somebody
I
else.
could always say, "Oh, do you mind if I take one?"
Susan said it was okay.
Yeah. The swag bag is all just chocolate. That's all it is.
Yeah. Everybody loves chocolate.
This is true.
Yeah. So along those lines, though, what, in all your years of doing the Wellness Expo and the Ocean State Business Expo, what are some of the more unique things that you've seen that people have done to either promote interactivity or just be unique or attract attention to themselves?
Well, the Ocean State, a few years ago, there was a marketing person that was doing mini videos, like
Cool.
little snippet videos of them, and they'd send them
Yeah.
later, and they could use it on their website if they
Oh,
want.
so they had a little
That's
setup
cool.
like a backdrop and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah, I remember seeing that. It was a cool
I mean,
little
it
machine.
was loud in the background, but still, people loved it.
Yeah.
Right.
Loved it. Last year we
That's cool.
had headshots that were being taken, for a small fee. It was very, very small compared to what you would normally pay for a headshot.
And that stuff lasts with the attendee because I can just think of it might have actually been one of your shows because I go out to all these different events, but somebody was doing business card lamination for you could put it on your suitcase or put it
yeah.
like a tag
Great.
on one of your bags or something, and I still have that. And I remember that booth and that business because
Right.
they're just like, hey, you got a business card? I'll laminate for you. And I'm like, sure, why not?
Right.
So-
Those things go a long way, and they stay with you.
Sure.
That's why I recommend that people, the exhibitors do something that is interactive.
That's awesome. And then another thing you said was goals. So set your goals before you go. Could you give us just a couple examples of what a goal may look like for a business who's going to a trade show?
Just how many people they want to talk to that day, how many they want to convert, how many names they might want to collect, or if it's a business to business, how many business cards do they want to get of people that they have, quote, qualified as a potential customer or client. Is I also believe that you should kind of prepare, some qualifying questions to know if this is a person you should spend a lot of time with. If it's somebody you connect with and they really don't need your product or service, you can always say, well, you know what, let's grab coffee in a couple of weeks, and you take their card and you make a notation on it. But you don't want to spend too much time with anyone, and you want to be able to qualify them quickly.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of businesses they buy the space and they get some candy and a tablecloth and they just think they're going to show up and
Right. And people are just going to flock over and they're going to have tons of new customers.
Wait, they're not?
It's work. It's really hard, and certainly not everybody's cut out to do a trade show.
Sure.
If you're not a people person,
Probably
Don't
not the
do
place
it.
for you.
if you're going to stand behind your table with your phone like this all day, don't,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. And then those are the people that either they report back to their office that it wasn't a good show for them, or they go, oh, that didn't work for me.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the effort you put in is going to be what you're going to get out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
Like-
most things.
Yeah.
Any
well, yeah.
marketing, yeah.
But most people
Yep.
don't think that way. They just,
They don't. They think I'm going to do all the work for them, but I can only do so much.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
give them the space to shine, and they can either take that or not.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's basically
Exactly.
any type of marketing. If you're not involved in what you're doing,
Right.
you can't just set it and forget it. It doesn't work that way.
It's like creating an ad yourself versus hiring a professional to do it. You're going to get so much more out of the professionally made one than you
Sure.
will out of something that you
Well,
just
we
threw
couldn't have said
together.
that better ourselves, could we?
We like that. Yeah. Good advice.
We've said that a few times, haven't we?
Well, I mean,
In different ways.
Yeah, we do. So, talking about making sure that you have a successful event. You've been doing the Wellness Expo for several years now. What kind of growth have you seen over the years, just in people knowing about the expo and the attendance, and how have you measured yourself in regards to the success of that event?
I've seen both exhibitors increase as well as attendees. I've seen the type of person that attends being a very qualified type of a person, not just somebody who's just going to walk through and leave. People that really truly want to be there. The biggest reward for me is the people that I've met.
Nice.
The relationships that I have now because of what I do are invaluable. There's no price tag that I could put on that, because I have so many good friends, and I have people that will support me at any time that I need. So that's where the relationship comes in again too, because it's just something that you don't necessarily expect. You don't expect to get a best friend or somebody that you can count on at any time when you need them by being in a trade show.
Yeah, not
I
the first
wouldn't
place you would
have
think to look.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put those two things together, but
No.
I've heard some cool stories, like people finding their next job at a trade show. Actually,
Yes.
yeah, I think
I thought you were going to say finding their next spouse. I thought that's where you were going with that.
Actually,
guess it could happen.
here's
That
a
could
fu-
happen, too.
Here's a funny story because, Alicia, you can back this one up. The webinar we started was out of a conversation that you and I had at a trade show.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think it was the Business Expo.
Oh yeah, in Warwick.
Yeah, down in Warwick, yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
'cause
All
we-
things can happen at
we would-
events.
we would just-
Absolutely.
we bumped into each other. We, at other networking events had met each other before, and Alicia was talking about wanting to do a webinar or a podcast series or something like that. And Justin and I have been good friends for years, and we just decided to try to do a webinar together. And here we are now.
There you go.
No, I didn't realize it had happened at the expo.
Yeah. Well, you had talked to Alicia prior to that, but that was the catalyst for all three of us to,
All right.
to get
So-
together.
anything can
And
happen.
at my expo.
See, there you go.
Yeah, so go in
That's
with an
right, yes.
open mind, people.
You
Not
never
only
know
for
what's gonna
business,
happen.
but relationships. Think relationships, not just business.
Well, that's the
That's-
key to business in
Yeah.
the first place is the relationship.
Well, I think it's one of, because we've talked to a lot of people in marketing doing the podcast, and I think that's one of the misconceptions is that marketing is transactional, and it's not. It's relational.
Correct.
So
Yes,
if you
I
go to an
agree.
event and you're there thinking you're going to sign up, X amount of dollars that day, maybe that is a plan, but I think a better plan is what you're saying is build those relationships, follow up, build upon that, build that trust, authority.
Exactly.
And that's, so I guess relationships are business, but when you go in thinking business, how many new clients am I going to get? How many sales am I going to get today? You miss the bigger picture.
That, and I think the energy that you're going to put off for the attendees, they're gonna know that.
Yeah.
If you go into it with just a clear mind and hey, I'm just here to meet people, there's awesome people in this state.
Yeah.
So who am I going to meet new? Go in there with a curiosity
Right.
of what the day is going to look like and who you're going to meet and who knows what's going to happen. Although you want to see, that return on investment, there's so many different ways that you can look at it, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen at the show. A lot of times it happens after the show.
The follow up.
And the follow-up and keep tracking, I would say even a year after a show, because you don't know when somebody will actually need your product and service.
Are there any creative ways that you can recommend following up? Because you can do the canned email, which I think most people do.
Correct, yes.
But and I know Bob has some creative ways of relationship marketing. He sent
He
me a
does.
card the other day. Thank you, Bob, if you're listening.
So if you're collecting people's business cards and you're having a conversation with them, write some notes on the back. Send them a personal email, not a canned email. If it's somebody you really connected with and you think that they really might want to do business with you, invite them for coffee or something
Sure.
Yeah.
if you can. Make that special effort because they're gonna recognize that and they're gonna okay.
Yeah, especially if you've spoken to them and you've spoken about something specific that you can relate
Right.
back to them
Right.
when you send that email out later. It's like, oh, it was great talking to you about X day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you make those notes on the back of a
Yeah,
business
that's
card,
key.
because you're not going to remember.
You talk to
as an
so many
exhibitor,
people.
you talk
Yeah.
to so many different people throughout the day. You'll look back through those cards and have no idea who those people are.
It does
great
become a little bit of a blur. Yeah.
Right.
So make those notes, people. Don't,
Make those
'cause
notes.
There's been
And-
times where I'm like, I'll remember, and then I'm like, oh.
It's time consuming, or it feels like it is at the time, but it's invaluable
Just say
afterwards.
it's well worth it. Yeah.
Right. I've done that at networking events.
Me too.
Put notes, because I won't remember even the next
Exactly.
day.
I'm lucky
And-
if I remember after I've left the building.
And
I gotta write it down.
Here's a tip: if you're having your business cards reprinted, make sure at least one side of that card is not coded, so
Right.
that people can write those notes.
I learned that from Bob Salvas because my first business cards were shiny on both, glossy on both sides.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't write on this. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, time to back to the drawing board, I guess.
Right. Or you end up writing on it and you stick it in your pocket and you get home later, it's like,
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
it's just a big smudge.
I know it said something important. I
Right.
can't remember what it was.
But I like that tip, making it personal by
Yeah,
keeping
absolutely.
notes, and it could even be something not business related. Like I remember
Right.
talking to someone and
a
their
Pats
wedding was
fan, huh?
coming up, and just saying like,
Right.
I know you're busy right now, but just want to wish you well on your wedding. Hope we can connect, after so and so and so. Yeah.
Yeah, because you will find things in common with people as you're talking too.
Sure. And if you're in Rhode Island, you'll probably find out you're related.
That's a possibility.
Or at least you know somebody that's related to.
Oh, yeah,
to
you're
the-
definitely going to know
Exactly.
somebody in
Yes.
common.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today and talking to us about this. This is not something that would have been top of mind for me, but as we've asked around and talked to people about, hey, who do you think would be a good person to have on the podcast to talk about marketing? Bob was the one that said, oh, you have to talk to Susan Lataille. So I'm so glad that he recommended you and that you were able to come on and join
Yeah,
us.
thank you. I
So-
appreciate being here.
So if somebody's interested in going to your event or learning more about it, where would they go to do that?
They can go to DiscoverYouEvents.com or OceanStateBusinessExpo.com.
Great.
All right. Well, it's time for our shameless plug,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All right. So you can find the Marketing Essentials team on our website, marketingessentialsteam.com. There you will find all of our published episodes of the
Correct.
podcast. You also find a contact form if you want to reach out to us directly. And you will find links to our Facebook page and also our you can subscribe to the podcast through
Via-
Apple Podcasts.
So through Apple Podcasts, yes, we have all over the back issues. I guess I don't know podcast
Back issues, yeah.
Back issues of podcasts. Yeah, good, Bill. The podcast, the previous podcast, you can listen to them all. And the nice thing, if you sign up for Apple Podcasts, you'll get a notification every time we release a new one.
Yep.
So, having said that, thank you again for joining us.
Oh, we
Yeah.
almost forgot. We have to plug our Facebook group. I'm going to
Oh,
let
yeah.
Alicia do that.
So real
missed that
quick,
time,
guys,
sorry.
if you're on Facebook and you want a place to talk about marketing, ask your questions, share your success, your challenges, join Little Rhody Marketing Support Group. You can just search that and find it, and
On
we'll let you
Facebook,
in.
yes.
So
And
thank you.
Sorry, there is one other one too. See,
gee.
we forget all these things at the end. Where are we?
Oh yes, we want to shout out to our venue today, Rooms and Works. You can find them on the web at roomsandworks.com. It's a great co-working
Located
space
here in Providence.
right here in Providence. And thank you very much to our host.
Yes. With that, I think we're done for this episode,
Yep.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.